Following the expulsion of former Representative George Santos, aka Guitar Ravache, House Republicans are now looking at Representative Matt Gaetz. In retaliation for a successful effort to remove House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, several House Republican members have begun discussing Gaetz' ongoing ethics investigation. According to USA Today, leading up to Santos' expulsion, multiple opponents of his removal publicly voiced their concerns about expelling a member who had not been convicted of a crime, which would overturn the precedent set by Congress in modern times. One of those, of course, who defended Santos was Gaetz himself, although he did it without actually defending Santos, which was funny. He said, "I rise to defend George Santos, whoever he is." That's a good one, because, George Anthony DeVolder, R-N.Y, as I mentioned before. Whoever he is. I don't rise to defend him, but I want to defend the very precedent that my colleagues are willing to shatter, Gaetz said. Hilarious. Even when Republicans defend each other, it's usually because of some sort of selfish motivation. I love it. Now, one House Republican who spoke to USA Today on the condition of anonymity, so all the Republicans speaking here are anonymous for, I guess, their own reasons, said that they were quite aware of the long-term implications of kicking Santos to the curb. This member said, quote, "There's a lot of forethought about the precedent and what would happen when a report on Gaetz comes out." Oh, Lordy, they're coming for Gaetz. In fact, according to this member, they seem to be licking their chops in anticipation. Can't wait. Oh, we got an ethics investigation. Now, if this member says the report on Gaetz is as bad as they think, can't wait. We're gonna get him. I don't buy the reasoning. I just don't. But first, let's refresh ourselves on the allegations against Mr. Gaetz. They include sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, and misuse of campaign funds. Oops. Now, for Congress, though, that's like a Tuesday. Let's be honest. You don't think Congress isn't filled with
sexual anarchy?
Of course it is. Come on. Come on. Look, it's not just George Santos or whoever he is that said that made these allegations. No, because I wouldn't believe it if it was just George Santos, okay? But no, it was people like Madison Cawthorn, for example, who immediately got drummed out of Congress. Who knew? They both had similar stories of wild drug and alcohol-fueled sex parties with congressional members. And look, they're both Republicans, by the way, so that's the other wrinkle into this, right? Republicans having wild, alcohol, drug-fueled sex parties, kind of a scandal. But I think it's the worst kept secret in Congress. I think everybody knows it. Okay? So that said, if it's just that, then why is Representative Matt Gaetz on the chopping block? Well, according to another anonymous House Republican, these, again, all anonymous, right? If there's anything in there that's bad, speaking of the report, I guarantee people will have their fangs out. He is hated in our conference. So that's the key. He is hated. We hate this guy. Okay, but why? Why do you hate them? I mean, again, Gaetz is generally an unlikable person. I'm not a fan of him. I think he's out for himself. I think he's out for his own celebrity. And he does ridiculous stunts in order to do that. But at the same time, doesn't that explain almost everybody there? What makes Gaetz special? I don't think that's it. I don't think it's because of that. I don't think it's because of the ethics. I don't think it's because he's been a pain in their butt. No. Republicans, look, Republican congressmen don't care about ethics. When it came to George Santos, for example, there was an ethics report on him, and it made no difference. You know what actually did him in? It was him literally stealing money from other Republican congressmen and their mothers. Yes. So they don't care about the ethics, okay? But they do care about when something this other person does affects them. The ethics report was just a justification that they turned to say, well, we care so much about ethics, So obviously the ethics is why we got to get rid of this guy. But it wasn't about that. No, the reason that they want to get rid of Gaetz is basically the same reason that they got rid of Santos. It's the monies. It always comes down to the monies. So Santos is a more blatant example, okay? Santos literally, as I said, stole money. Like had contributions get taken out without permission. Okay? Literal stealing, right? Now, Gaetz didn't steal anything, allegedly, okay? But what he did is arguably worse, I think, for Republicans in Congress, because Gaetz got rid of House Republicans' best fundraiser when he ousted Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy is not only no longer a speaker, but he's retiring before his term's over. So that's effectively taking money out of Republicans' campaign coffers. Okay? Look, the one reason that McCarthy ended up becoming speaker, even though he was incredibly weak, is because he was what one GOP operative put it, a quote, money effing factory for Republicans. In the 2022 cycle alone, McCarthy raised over $27 million for his majority committee PAC and spent almost all of it on his fellow Republicans to help them get reelected. That's kind of the whole point of the speaker, to raise money, to speak to the donors, to say, give me your cash so that I can give it to the rest of my Republican colleagues so that we can get a majority, we can win elections, and then we can represent you, the donors. That's what happens. So without Kevin McCarthy, well, they're going to lose a lot of money. So I got another quote for you, which is amazing. This is all the way back in October, right after McCarthy was deposed, right? One Republican source told one of the outlets, quote, Kevin McCarthy used to get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, and shit out money. Look, these are amazing quotes because it shows you what their motivations are, what they're really concerned with. Without Kevin McCarthy, they're not able to have these connections to the big giant donors that help their campaigns. If it's one thing I know about politics, and especially Republicans in Congress, and this is how it circles back down to Matt Gaetz, is you don't have for their money. George Santos, small time. Matt Gaetz, much bigger. Because he effed with the money. Look, you can say whatever horrible things that you want, but you dare mess with the money, that's when you're going to get it. Okay? Now, is this a guarantee that they're going to drop Gaetz? Not necessarily. So, here's the conditions, right? So, look, if Mike Johnson ends up raising as much money for Republicans as McCarthy did, then they're not going to have a problem. Okay? And if the ethics probe isn't quite as bad, then there's a pretty good chance that they'll keep him. Or he'll have enough of an insulation to be able to keep him. Because remember, they have a pretty slim majority in the House right now, and they want to keep it. Okay? So, but if one of those things doesn't happen, so if for example, if MAGA Mike Johnson just can't raise that cash that they need, well, then we could be very well saying goodbye to Mr. Gaetz